Hi everyone, this is Total War Therapy and today I'm gonna introduce you to the 8 main categories of melee infantry. But first I wanted to tell you that I'm so looking forward for the introduction of Yin Yin into the game. This girl with supposedly a bow and that can turn into a sea dragon is probably one of the things that I'm most excited for the future of Total War Warhammer 3. Comment if you share my enthusiasm for her or if you're looking forward another character, and don't forget to subscribe. It will be a very huge here for this channel. And let's start. Let's start with the anti-infantry frontline. This is the most basic and important category of infantry. Almost every faction has one. You have to deploy them in the front of your army formation and they serve to absorb melee damage, and in the pre-battle, since they are traditionally shielded, they will protect your army from missile attack, like arrows and bullets. This is especially important during siege battles, when you play offensively and your enemy will shoot at you from the walls. The main advantage compared to the next category we'll talk about is that when engaged against another same tier infantry, they have a chance to win. But anyway, they are not made to deal damage. This is essential, so listen carefully. Their role is to keep busy the enemy units and absorb their damage, when the damage dealers of your army will take care of the enemy units one by one. Let's continue with the anti-large front line. The same rules as for the previous category, but this time they have some game changer attributes. They have a charge defense, charge reflection and anti-large bonus. In short, they have a master in dealing with the large units, cavalry, little monsters, so when they will charge you, this multiplied damage will be cancelled or reflected against them. But as I said, compared to the anti-infantry front line, this unit will probably lose a melee fight against a same tier melee infantry, so deploy them wisely, for example at the flanks of your formation, where your enemy, your enemy big units and cavalry, will most likely attack you. Mid shield. This is a comprehensive category for big number, huge number units, most of them with the attribute expendable. This means that when they root, and they will root very early, you can believe me, since the leadership is very poor, when they root, their kinda betrayal will not affect the mood of your other units. In other words, they have to right to flee and then go back with no consequences for the rest of your army. They are normally the cheapest units of any roster, rarely shielded. They can have a specialization like the anti-large, armor piercing or whatever, but you should not take into consideration that much, because their main role is to absorb damage of any kind, to sacrifice for the more important units. So fill any void of your army composition with them and you will have an additional annoying shield for just few money. Heavy damage melee infantry. This infantry, common in many rosters, is characterized by better melee stats. Some attribute like frenzy or unbreakable, they are faster, sometimes they are anti-infantry, and most important factor, they have high not armor piercing weapon strength that can be used both as an assault or support unit, and they are the first category we're talking about that is meant to deal damage. They will not perform well against heavy units, but they do a great job against other infantry, light cavalry and monsters. Armor piercing support. This category of infantry is a mid-tier category. They wield traditionally great weapons like maces or great axes. They are a support unit, less defensive but with more armor and armor piercing damage, so they are suitable to help your front line with heavy units, but avoid to put them in an uncovered position. The best strategy is just to deploy them like in the second line and wait for the right enemy to approach your front line, your flanks, and at that point you can send them into the battle and deal very specific damage to the specific unit. Anti-heavy infantry support. This is it's quite similar to the previous category, but they are more specialized against heavy infantry or characters on foot as well. Here we start to work with elite infantry, so protect them, because when you play in high difficulty, your enemy, especially like the missile units, will prioritize them and attack them first. They normally wield great swords and don't waste them against low tier infantry, because they are very strong, they have this huge armor piercing damage, and they are more suitable to perform against very heavy infantry. So if you see approaching a more elite unit in your enemy front line, for example, you can already start to place them in the right position to attack them at the right time. Anti-monster support infantry. The same as the previous two categories, but this time with a PhD for big, high-charging monsters. They are dramatically slow, traditionally, most of the times, so deploy them in a center position in your formation to reach as fast as possible wherever the above-mentioned monster will attack. Unadvised, don't let them engage against lower tier infantry, monsters or whatever, because they will be stuck for all the battle and it would be a big waste of potential, because I don't know why the game decided to make them very slow. They have the expert charge, defense, reflection, so all the charge that will not be absorbed by the generic and the weaker anti-infantry anti-large melee infantry, they will be able to absorb more of them. Of course, many models will still jump around when the big monster will charge, but less. The last category is the Vanguard Stalk Melee Infantry. They are normally mid-tier infantry recruitable with the specific building and with the average stats. Their most important attribute is the Vanguard deployment, that will give you the chance to hide them in a forest closer to your most vulnerable enemy units, like artillery or missiles, so you can sneak around and attack them very easily. Then very often you can have directly the Stalk attribute. This attribute will make this unit capable of moving hidden in the battlefield. Both versions are meant to sneak around your enemy and attack their back, where probably they will be, as I said, the most vulnerable units by high damaging, like artillery and mages. Use them wisely. Many times people don't take advantage of this attribute, they just deploy them behind the front line, and it's just a waste of resources and potential. Of course, wait for your enemy units to engage in combat, otherwise they will chase after you. And be careful of fast and strong units in your enemy army formation. If they have fast cavalry, it's better to stay close to a forest, so you can fight. In case this cavalry will address you, you can just stay in the forest and their stats will be taken down, so you will have a better chance to win anyway. Or if they have a big monster, if your enemy has a big monster, you have to be careful to make them busy before to sneak around with this unit. Thank you for following me, subscribe and see you next week.